Hi there everyone, a very good morning and welcome to a special edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. I'm Avan Dabash with Mubina Kapasi and Siddharth Bhamre.
It's all about Children's Day today and we at ET Now make it our endeavor to help not only you but also your children rise with India, and hence on this special occasion of Children's Day, we will be helping you solve all your doubts, queries and questions on profitably investing your money for your children.
Absolutely, Mubina, and I'm sure a lot of parents as well know that their children are their world and they will want to really give them the best and do anything when it comes to their education, and saving is clearly a top priority. With the rapid rise as well in the education costs, a lot of parents have questions when it comes to investing in children that they want to get answered.
Well, so Buy Now, Sell Now Children's Day, and we will be answering all of the common questions that you do have. How do you go about investing? Where do you start from? Or how much should you even invest in the first place? And is it too late to start? To clear the air and run you through the best avenues for investment, we have with us Lakshmi Iyer, the CIO for Debt and Head of Products with Kotak AMC, and she is going to guide you through the best options to meet all children-related expenses, whether it's in relation to their education, their marriage, or in general, securing their future. Lakshmi, thanks so much for giving us your time right here on Buy Now, Sell Now Children's Day special. You know, a lot of parents have this question that, is it perhaps too late for me to start investing? Have I missed the bus now that perhaps my child is a bit older? Some people have children already, you know, who are 10 or 11 years of age and perhaps may not have still built a corpus of funds. My question, you know, would be on that. Do you think that it perhaps would be a little too late, you know, when it comes to investing for children, or any time is a good time to start?
Sure. So firstly, a happy Children's Day to all the viewers, because there is a child in all of us. Before I get to your question, let me just start with a tweet which I posted this morning on Children's Day, which basically says, child is C, carefree, H, happy, I, inquisitive, L, learner, and more importantly, D, dare to dream. So a child has dreams, and obviously a parent cannot scream looking at inflation steam. So therefore, start early and start young. So I think that in some manner kind of encapsulates what view I have from parents investing for a child perspective. Having said that, while the intent is to start really early, it's not too late even if your child is aged maybe 10, 11 or 12 years. The essence is to get it right, and more importantly, rather than looking backward, start looking forward, because even at the age of 11, you're preparing your child for, say, you know, early graduation or maybe high school, etc., within India, outside of India. So I think it is very imperative that you don't look back and start even now, and more importantly, starting right and making the right kind of investments is the way to go for any parent even now.
Okay, so thanks very much, Lakshmi, for stressing on the importance of investing for the child's future. You know, they're really the biggest project and responsibility for for every single parent. So plan early, be disciplined. Those are some of the golden rules that Lakshmi has pointed out. Well, as we promised, this show is focused on children and it's focused on all of the parents today. That's what it's dedicated to. First up, let's take it across to our mom for the day, Manmeet Bhatti. She is a photographer. She has a young son aged 9, Ayan, and she wants to know a lot about college education. So let's hear out her query for the day.
Hi, I'm Manmeet Bhatti. I'm a photographer by profession. This is my son Ayan. He's just turned 9 years old. Last few years we've started investing for our son's higher education, so that when it's time for him to move to a college, he doesn't have to think twice about money. We actually didn't know what to do and how to invest. After chatting up with people and figuring out and doing a little bit of research, we decided to invest in stocks. Whatever we want to save, we've just been putting it in stocks and just keeping our fingers crossed that the stock market stays up.
Well, a photographer by profession, so naturally may not have given as much attention to investing as perhaps parents should give. I guess it's a mantra that many people do rely on, keeping their fingers crossed, but really that's not the way investing works. You know, I'm sure Lakshmi will agree with me. She has a 9-year-old son, so certainly he has a long way to go. He has higher education expenses. There is, of course, always saving for a rainy day as well. How would you advise her to go about it?
Sure. Manmeet, basically, you're a photographer, so obviously you invest in a camera, a good quality camera. So to that extent, given that you have a 9-year-old kid, you've taken the right decision to invest in equities. Next level, when you're investing in a camera, what do? Do you talk to just people around you in the coterie and then say, okay, you know, do you like this, do you like that, etc., and then go buy it? Or you do your own research or talk to a professional photographer who you believe probably knows a little bit more than you and then make the investment? I would believe the latter, and I'm sure you would have the same view too. So I think likewise, while making an investment in equities, while you've taken the right step, I think it's very important to not grope in the dark, but probably rely on the advice of a financial advisor who could be anybody you know of, or obviously a professional fund manager who will be able to guide you and probably navigate you through the ways and moves in which you can. And mutual fund is one such option which allows you to navigate through muddy waters, and of course it's managed by professionals, and you have equity modes of investments available through mutual funds as well. So I think that is the way to go about, and trust me, then you will not have to have your fingers crossed, but of course you'll have your fingers crossed to make sure that your kid gets into the right institute or the right university, but definitely not from an investment perspective. So I think the recommendation for you would not to be meandering around all over, and as you rightly mentioned, that photography and financial investments, if planned in a meticulous manner, can definitely be very rewarding.
Okay, so just like you take a lot of cognizance when it comes to investing in photography and the right camera, do remember that you need a financial advisor as well. So working backwards, and I think investing small sums regularly would be key right now for you, Manmeet. And thank you so much for sending in your query. I hope we've helped you out with your investments and securing a very strong future for your son, Iyer. In fact, Lakshmi, just to stress more upon that point, you know, you were talking about the importance of investment of a child's future planning, and talking about how mutual funds as an instrument is one of the most preferred options. Why do you think that is?
So as I mentioned, two reasons. One is that we all hear and talk about say equities, stocks, picking up the right stock, etc. These days IPOs is the name of the game, etc. But a mutual fund is basically a pool of investments. It pools in this entire money together from varied parts of the land, including India and outside of India, and invests the money in a judicious manner, in a more scientifically researched way. So that obviously obviates the need for any individual investor to spend that additional amount of time and effort in the market. And secondly, the ease at which you can transact in a mutual fund is extremely seamless. So in a way, a mutual fund is actually akin to an X-ray. An X-ray is extremely transparent. You exactly know which part of your body has what kind of problem. Likewise, in mutual funds, you exactly know what the fund manager buys, when he buys, how much he buys, how much we charge for it, how much we incentivize distribution for it. So it's like, you know, a fact sheet is basically an X-ray for the mutual fund industry, and therefore it's very, very prudent for any financially savvy investor or a not very financially aware investor also to invest into any choice of asset class through the mutual fund avenue.
Okay, well, there you have it, mutual fund investment. And, you know, we do stress quite a bit on how it would be a very prudent way of investing in equity markets, especially for those parents, especially for those individuals who do have other businesses, who do not have the time that you need to invest in researching and reading up on stocks to essentially invest in individual stocks. In fact, we also had Dhirendra who had joined in earlier, and he spoke about, you know, different fund recommendations as well for different age groups of children. So of course, the younger the child, the more you'd invest in growth funds, the more you'd invest in equity linked funds. And as the child gets older, it would make sense to perhaps balance it out with certain fixed income funds as well. Saving for children's marriage, saving for education, mutual funds certainly is something that would aid you in achieving goals going forward. And of course, it is something that even it would help everyone essentially. But we'll slip into a very short break right here on Buy Now, Sell Now Children's Day Special. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll be addressing queries that have been sent by Mubina Sevwala. She is a homemaker, and we also in fact have Nisha Shah, an interior designer. Both of them have daughters. They have questions in relation to their education and how to secure their future. So we'll be discussing that and lots more with Lakshmi Iyer. Don't go anywhere.
Hi there everyone, welcome back to Buy Now, Sell Now. We're celebrating Children's Day right here, so we are addressing all of the queries that the parents have been sending us in order to help secure your child's future and give wings to your child for their better education as well as financial health. Well, we've got lots of queries pouring in, so we reached out to most of the parents and the moms especially. So you heard out the question coming in from Manmeet talking about the best options in which she can invest in when it comes to the stock market, and now we've got a query coming in from Mubina Sevwala. So let's hear out what she has to say. She has a young daughter named Hussaina.
Hi, I'm Mubina and this is my 3-year-old daughter Hussaina. My daughter is extremely creative. She loves reading, she loves her books, she loves to color, paint. In fact, she'll paint everything including my walls. I'm a homemaker and my husband is a businessman. So in the last 3 years, Hussaina has received a lot of presents in the form of cash and some in the form of other high monetary value items. So my question is, where else and how can I invest this money with better returns so that in the future my daughter can fall back on this corpus of funds?
Well, for one, if she does like painting walls, I guess you'll also have to save up for some home renovation. But for now, we'll focus on Hussaina and how we can help secure her future. And I think it's a question and a happy dilemma, I guess, that most parents face. They do get a lot of money from relatives, from friends, etc. on various occasions during, the child's initial years. And while some of them just do put it in some mutual funds, some, of course, a majority of them actually just perhaps open a bank account, as Mubina as well has done. So Lakshmi, what are better investment avenues for such parents, to put their money instead of a simple bank account?
Sure. I think Mubina is not different from most parents who very diligently and I would say judiciously collect the entire sum of amounts, including the sum which is there in the piggy bank put in by the kids, and directly go and open a bank account, and boom, that's it. They believe that their future or their child's future is secure. Well, there is part truth to it, and in this particular case, in Mubina's kid's example, obviously her child is very creative. She loves painting walls. How about sometime, owning a paint company? So if that were to be the thought process, and I know I'm doing a little bit of exaggeration, but the point here is what I'm trying to articulate is by purely or merely investing that sum of money into traditional mode of savings like bank fixed deposit, savings account, etc., you would just about be able to create the amount of money to change the paint of the wall year on year or maybe a few years later. But if you are aspiring to probably own something as dramatic as I said, a paint company, then I think the port of call to invest into equities as an asset class is definitely a pressing need at this point in time. You could definitely continue to keep small amounts of money in your child's bank account. This is just so to inculcate the habit of savings or the discipline of savings into him or her. But I think it is very imperative to go and make a switch here and now from that bank account, because the child is all of 3.5, 4 years. Or maybe some kids are even younger. So just make that switch into equities and then just fill it, shut it and forget it. And as I mentioned, it's an exaggerated claim, but I'm just trying to emphasize on the need for investing in equities in that child's name as of today.
All right. Well, yes. Like Lakshmi said, a lot of parents diligently put their money that, the child has collected from their grandparents, from their relatives, and, open a bank deposit. But perhaps that may not be the most ideal way to deploy money to profitably reap the benefits in the future, especially for your child, given there is so much more earnings potential in various other investment instruments, as Lakshmi has pointed out. Well, she's lost 3 years of potential corpus creation. Nevertheless, there is a long-term investment in mind, so it's never too late. But next up, we have a question coming in from Nisha Shah. She's a soft furnishing consultant and stylist, essentially an entrepreneur, and she has an 8-year-old daughter, Tiana Shah. Listen in.
Hi, I'm Tiana.
Hi, I'm Nisha. I'm a soft furnishing consultant and stylist. I work with a lot of individuals and interior designers catering in the industry of styling their curtains, their bed covers, their cushions, etc. My husband is Namit Shah and he works for Standard Chartered Bank. My daughter goes to JB Perrott High School and she's in the 3rd grade. The cost of everything is on a very high rise, be it food, travel, spending money for your kids, even a simple thing like a taxi fare. So this makes me wonder whether I'm going to be able to give my daughter the best when she grows up. So I would like to ask one question to Ms. Iyer on how I can stay ahead of the inflation curve and investing in equities or any other asset classes which could benefit our daughter for her better future.
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of people are in the same boat right now. Nisha, thanks so much for reaching out to us and sending us your question. So let's find out what best is one should do right now, because, Lakshmi, we've just been looking at the cost of everything, and over the years, it's only been on the rise with respect to the inflation curve. How does one stay ahead of the inflation curve when there's so many expenses that are involved? What would be your advice? Because I think your key message right now to most of the parents out there, especially to Nisha, is that it's pertinent that you start saving now.
No, so what Nisha has, I think, is $1 million question, because I keep getting, asked this question almost on every occasion, whether it's a social get-together or it's a client event, and the answer also to some extent is embedded in the question. The key thing which is grappling most investors or most parents in this case as aspiring savers for their children is inflation, inflation and inflation. So obviously the only question that one seeks to ask is what could be that hero or that potential hero that can actually slay the villain, which is the inflation, which is eating into our savings like a monster all the time, and more importantly very silently, not aware of that it's actually happening. While we go by empirical evidences, if you look at maybe past 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you take a comparison of maybe FDs, fixed deposits kind of instruments, gold as an asset class and equities, the pecking order of returns usually that we've observed is usually equities, gold and FDs, or traditional mode of savings in that particular order. And therefore no marks for guessing that if you really want to slay the inflation monster from eating into your savings or eating into your hugely hard-earned kind of a money pool, there is a TINA factor, or there is no alternative to plowing a good portion of your money or your child's money into equities, because again, to quote you some numbers, because money management is not complete without numbers, on a 15-year time period that we actually did some number crunching, equities have delivered close to about 17% returns, followed by gold at about 10 to 11%, and last but not the least, the traditional mode of savings at about 7.2 to 7.4%. Now imagine in a country like India, where inflation is very inherent, ranging from maybe lower end of 4% to higher end of 7%. If you just stick or restrict to traditional mode, what happens to the inflation monster? It is never dead. So it remains amar, because it's assuming it's had amrut. So I think having a predominant portion of your money into a potential inflation beating asset class like equities should be the order of the day. Of course, you could have some small investments, as I said, into fixed income as well, but I think the way to go on a slightly long run basis is definitely equities.
Oh. All right, that's the advice coming in, and I liked how you put it, Lakshmi, talking about, you know, really beating that inflation monster which is eating into everyone's expenses. So stay ahead of the inflation curve. Equity markets are known to beat inflation, but more importantly, it's pertinent that when you're planning for your child's bright future, when it comes to timing, no better time than starting now. Okay, let's take a quick break. Stay with us on the show. We have a very special guest, and as I've tweeted out as well, she'll be coming into our studios, no less than 3 feet tall. Don't mistake her for me. But she will be coming into our studios in just a bit, as we're celebrating Children's Day right here in our studios on Buy Now, Sell Now.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on our Children's Day edition. And without any further ado, let's bring on board, as promised, our next query. It's coming in from Nimisha Sirohi, who's a voiceover artist with Big FM. She has 2 amazingly cute daughters who are aged 7 and 3. Listen in to what she wants to ask.
Hi, my name is Ira. I'm 7 years old. This is my little sister Swara. Hi, my name is Swara. I want to be a rock star. She's 3 years old. I'm 3 years old. When I grow up, I want to become a doctor.
And I'm their mum, Nimisha Sirohi. I'm a voiceover artist with 92.7 Big FM. I know there's still time, but I want to invest for their education. I want you to help me with that. I want to put in rupees 5,000 per month for the 2 of them. Where do I invest?
Okay, so while one daughter wants to be a rock star, the other one has a bit more realistic plans. So let's understand then from Lakshmi Iyer as to what exactly would be the best suited investment advice for Nimisha. You know, Lakshmi, she has an amount of about 5,000 rupees that she wants to invest for her daughters. They are still fairly young. What would you advise her to do in terms of funds? What should she look out for, if any funds that you'd like to recommend to her where she could perhaps put her money in?
Sure. So whether you want to be a doctor or a rock star, I think it is very important to get a rocking start to the investments that you intend to make for your kids. And my sense is, again, the very cliched mode of investments, which is systematic investment plan or SIP. Now, what this allows you to do is essentially, as you mentioned, that you have an amount of 5,000 rupees per month that you seek to invest. I'm assuming that you have back calculated that say 15 years hence or maybe 12 years hence, this is the amount of desirable corpus that you would like to have, and that's how you've arrived at this 5,000 rupees. So my suggestion to you would be to look out for a diversified equity mutual fund and start an SIP into it. It does not matter whether it is a large cap or a mid cap, because a diversified mutual fund allows for participation across large and mid cap. So you don't really have to get into, so you know, if I give you your own analogy, as you said, you know, you do a voiceover kind of a thing, the quality, the voice modulation, the texture, etc. is something which is best left to experts such as you. What we as audience or what we as listeners get is the final outcome. Likewise, if you do your SIP into these funds, you be rest assured that you can help your children focus on their own dreams, which will keep changing every 2 years and 3 years, from doctor to chef to engineer, etc. And I think that's the way to go. It allows you to beat market volatility. In your parlance, the voice modulations, ups and downs can be fairly controlled with an investment avenue like systematic investment plan.
Okay, that's the view coming in, and I hope you've taken note of the advice that's been given in order to, you know, how you could look to invest your money. So it's important as well to clarify what the goal is, whether it's college education, and you can look to invest in an SIP and an equity mutual fund scheme. Hope you've taken note of that advice. And thank you so much once again to all of the mums for reaching out to us and sending in your queries to help your child be future ready, give wings to your child's future, as well as help them be secure. On that note, let's slip into a quick break. Stay with us. The suspense is on as who our special guest is coming into our studios in just a bit. Thank you so much for staying on with us. This is Buy Now, Sell Now. We've been addressing a lot of queries on securing your child's future here on our Children's Day special on Buy Now, Sell Now, to shape your child's future and make your child future ready. Well, as I promised before the break, we have a very special guest who is joining us right now in the studios. I'm sure all of you are very familiar with our top technical analyst, Kunal Bothra, but he has a very cute little daughter who is joining in to celebrate Children's Day. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Kushali.
And how old are you and which class do you study in?
I am 5 years old. I study in Prep B.
Wow, you're 5 years old. Well, you're looking very pretty. Your dress looks very pretty. So, Kushali, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Teacher.
And do you want to teach big students or do you want to teach young students?
Young.
Like you?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow. You have such big dreams. You're looking adorable in our studio. I think, Kunal, it's time we replace you now with your cute little daughter.
I really wouldn't mind that.
Because Kunal, I'm so sure she knows about markets as well. Kushali, do you know what your papa does?
Yes. My papa comes on your channel. He makes people rich by his ideas.
Wow, he makes people rich with his ideas. I agree with you completely. Thank you so much for joining in. Do you have any advice for us on the stock markets?
Stock markets will rise.
The stock markets look good right now, you think?
Yes.
Yes. And do you want to grow up to be like your papa, or you want to be a teacher?
Teacher.
Okay, she's fixed, Kunal. She doesn't want to go down your
In fact, she also has a nifty target.
Wow. So, Kushali, what do you think the markets will be when you will be, let's say, Sweet 16?
Markets will touch 50,000.
50,000. So you're getting advice from a 5-year-old on where the market is going to go, and are you placing your bets on that number, Kunal?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah?
I always go by with what she says.
Daughters know best, undoubtedly. So here's hoping nifty 50,000 by the time Kushali turns Sweet 16, and of course all your children as well do turn that age. But Kunal, I must ask you this question. You have an adorable daughter here who, at least at this age, wants to become a teacher. Next year, perhaps she'll want to become something else. So how do you, being of course in the markets, how do you use the markets to essentially safeguard her future?
Well, I think first of all is I have a lot of holdings. At least I've started into equities a lot, and I believe that this is a time when the equities are going to rise from here on. So for the next 10-20 years, in fact, from a longer term, I think there are a lot of opportunities for even stock market players, even entering at current levels, to make money. So I think that's the primary focus, for me as of now, and there are a lot of stocks which I keep on buying, almost regularly for her future.
Okay, thanks very much. All the very best, and we'll get you in our studios on your Sweet 16 birthday as well, Kushali. Okay,
Yes.
You'll come again to ET now.
Yes.
Okay, we look forward to that. Thank you for joining in our studios. Thanks very much, Kunal, for bringing us in. Here's hoping that by the time she's sweet 16, we have 50,000 on the index. Well, that is not our only special guest for the day. We have another very special guest joining in at the fag end of Buy Now, Sell Now in tandem with our celebrations for celebrating Children's Day. Sandeep Sabharwal joins in, and with him is his adorable daughter. She is Suhani, who joins in, who is an ace and a pro tennis player. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us today on the show. And I'm going to come to you first, Suhani. Tell us, what do you want to be when you grow up? Perhaps, you know, play tennis for the country, make India proud?
So I'm 12 years old and I study in the 7th grade, and I've been playing tennis since I was 4 years old, and I play at the national level. I practice for 2 to 3 hours every day and I love playing tennis.
And Sandeep, you know, we must also talk about the fact that the stocks, in fact, you know, that you may have perhaps bought for Suhani, which you believe will be next generation wealth creators. Help our viewers understand the stocks that one should perhaps invest in.
So when we buy stocks for children who are 10-12 years old, it's very different from buying stocks from ourselves, where we will be looking to sell them maybe even in 1 or 2 years or 3 years. So the stocks have to be companies which are doing a business which will sustain over 10-20 years, create wealth for people over that period of time. So the kind of stocks I invest for Suhani are companies like Britannia, which has got a good product profile, it's got a great brand, and it will do very well over long periods of time. A company like maybe Godrej Consumer Products, a company like Dabur. So all of these companies, or a company like Page Industries. So these are the companies which have got strong brands, which will a huge demographic to capture, and will do well over 10-20 years, not very short periods of time.
Okay, thanks very much, Suhani. All the very best for your future and your dreams, and I'm sure your father will ensure that your future is secure. Sandeep, thanks so much for joining in and giving us some of those ideas. And with that, from the entire team that put the show together, we want to wish everyone a very happy Children's Day. Thank you so much for watching. Market Sense is coming up.